Preventive measures of acid deposition. Okay, to reduce the acid deposition, we can reduce the emission of, we can reduce the release of SOxes or NOxes into the atmosphere. Okay, so as a preventive measure, we can do reduce the amount of sulfur dioxide and oxide of nitrogen to the atmosphere. So to reduce the emission, these are the options available for. So first, we can use less energy. So by using less energy or by consuming less amount of energy, we can reduce the uh, amount of SOxes and NOxes emitted into the atmosphere. Because once we uh, reduce the consumption of energy, we can reduce the consumption of fossil fuel burn for the power generation. Then therefore, we can reduce the amount of release of SOxes and NOxes. Then all of you know that especially from power generation sector, SOxes and NOxes are emitted, especially from coal power plant. So while burning coal, SOxes and NOxes are emitted. So instead of using fossil fuel, those uh, fossil fuel with high sulfur content, we can use cleaner fuels. Then third option, actually this is not a preventive method, this is a controlling method. So we can remove oxide of sulfur and oxides of nitrogen before releasing. This is a controlling method. Remember, this is not a preventive method. Okay, so remove oxides of sulfur and nitrogen oxides before releasing by using catalytic converters or flue gas desulfurization method. So when you talk about the use less energy, we can say uh, individual can contribute directly by conserving energy. So as an individual person, we can do the forming of acid deposition by consuming less energy or conserving energy, since energy production causes the largest portion of the acid deposition problem. So as an individual, we can turn off lights, computers, other appliances, and where we are not using them. Then we can use energy efficient appliances like lighting, air conditioners, heaters, refrigerators, and washing machine. For those area, we can use energy efficient appliances. As example, we can use LED bulb instead of using tungsten bulb. Even the CFL bulbs are also efficient than the tungsten bulbs. And when we talk about air conditioners, there are different type of air conditioners. So we have to choose the most efficient one. And heaters also, we have to choose the most efficient and effective methods. Refrigerators and washing machines. So as an example, all the housewives know that the top loaded washing machines, are not efficient than that of front loaded washing machines. And also you may be familiar with that ceiling fans consume high energy amount than that of the pedestal fan or the table fan. And during the cooking also, we can use pressure cooker instead of using normal fans to cook using LP gas. So likewise, we can conserve the energy. Then we can use the electric appliances when we need them. Insulate your home as best as you can do. So this is applicable for the cold countries. So as a hot country, we can use natural ventilation methods for the instead of using fans and other methods. Then carpool, use public transportation, walk or bicycle whenever possible. Then we can buy vehicle with low NOx emissions and maintain all vehicles well and be well informed. We can inform our parents, our friends about this situation, and we can ask them to reduce the consumption of energy unintentionally. Then, as a preventive measures, we can use cleaner fuels. So, we can use coal that contain less sulfur. So, in our country, we know the thermal power plants uh, gives generate the large amount of energy required for the country. So, the coal is the largest source of energy for generating electricity in the world. So, coal-fired power plants are one of the popular way to produce and distribute electricity in the world. So, in coal-fired power plants, I hope you are familiar with the steam power cycle happen in the coal power plant. First, coal is used as the fuel. Coal is combusted; it is burned, and from the heat generated from the combustion process is used to um, heat the water in a boiler. Then the boiling water creates steam, which turns a turbine and activate a generator to produce electricity. And coal mainly contain of carbon and hydrocarbon, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Except that there are sulfur impurities and nitrogen impurities, nitrogen compounds. So these hydrocarbons, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, these hydrocarbons contain energy that can be released through the combustion. So if there are sulfur and nitrogen oxides, if there are sulfur and nitrogen, what happen? They will release to the atmosphere through the combustion process as a SOxes and NOxes. Okay, so therefore, coal is one of the most controversial energy sources in the world. In the world, controversial because the coal is cheap. The coal is cheap and widely available to the world, but it causes air pollution. It causes environmental pollution. The advantages of coal mining are economically and socially significant. However, mining devastates the environment, air, land, and the water. And after the combustion process, it also cause many problems: greenhouse gas emission and acid deposition. Then uh, so instead of using high content, uh, the coal containing high sulfur, we can use low content sulfur. Then if we use high content coal, then we can uh, reduce the coal content by applying some processes called washing. Then, as a cleaner fuel, we can use natural gas. Okay. So, in our country, is it available a natural gas power turbine plant? Do you know the in Keravalapitia? So, what is the fuel for that Keravalapitia power plant? So, natural gas is a mixture of hydrocarbons, the mainly methane, but commonly include varying amounts of other higher alkanes and even a lesser percentage of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and hydrogen sulfide. So, the natural gas uh, contain primarily methane, but there are low amount of sulfur impurities. Because of that, the emission of SOxes are uh, less than that of the emission of coal and the other fossil fuels. Then the other controlling method, actually this should be controlling method, the flue gas desulfurization. So from that mean in in all of you know that during the coal combustion process, a flue gas is going out. The flue gas is going out through the tall chimneys. So this flue gas consists of SOxes, NOxes, CO2. Maybe there may be CO and excess amount of oxygen. So um, this flue gas can be desulfurized. That means the sulfur compounds can be desulfurized by using uh, scrubbers. Okay? So we can, for that we can use a wet scrubber. wet scrubber. So this is a picture of wet scrubber. Here you can see the waste gases or flue gas enter at the bottom of the vessel, and here you can see the limestone slurry is coming, and it is uniformly it is distributed uh, at the top of the vessel. Then here you can see the clean gases going out from the chimney. Actually, here we cannot expect 100% clean gas. The water soluble gases are dissolved in the slurry. Okay, so if there are limestone, the solubility can be increased by neutralizing the acidic compounds. So at the bottom, we can find calcium sulfate solution. So lime or limestone is injected into the tower with the stack gases and reacts with sulfur dioxide present. And this is another picture of wet scrubber. Okay, so and this is a very clear one. Here you can see the flue gas is entered into the scrubber vessel or absorption vessel at the bottom, usually at the bottom. And here the scrubber liquid is distributed at the top of the vessels. So here the limestones are fed. Okay, so we can use water. So if we use limestone, we can increase the efficiency. So they are at the top, they are flow down. So when what happened, the flue gas and the scrubber liquid come contact with each other, and the water soluble gases will dissolve in the uh, scrubber liquid. Then at the bottom we'll get a calcium sulfate plus the solution, plus the liquid. So here, if we want, we can uh, release some gases to occur the oxidization process for the bottom liquid. And there are some stirrers also, here you can see. Then at the top we can get clean gas. And here you can see these so these are called as entrainment or demisters to um, catch or to trap the moisture going with the clean gas. So these are called a demister or entrainment. Then at the top we can get clean gas, but these are not 100% clean. There are some amount of undissolvable gases are available. So this is a wet scrubber. Here you can see this is the boiler. So all of you may can understand this is a water tube boiler, and this is the furnace part. Then the flue gas is going through this outlet to the wet scrubber. So flue gas consists of mainly SOxers. So the flue gas enters at the usually at the bottom. Then calcium hydroxide slurry will flow down from the top of the scrubber vessels. So they are spray, and while scrubber liquid going down and the flue gas going up, they will contact with each other. To improve the contact process, there will be trays or packing material inside the absorption column. Then SOxers will be dissolved in the scrubber liquid. Then the liquid will be collected from the bottom of the vessel. Then the liquid can be flow down, and the calcium sulfate can be precipitated, and we can get we can get SOxers free gas stream from the top. Then they are sent through a chimney to release into the atmosphere. So here you can see in this case the removal efficiency is 50 to 98%. Then so when we use scrubbers, what happen? So we have to pH neutral calcium sulfate can be removed from the scrubber. Then these calcium sulfate can be used for any other purpose. It is a byproduct of wet scrubbers. So now this is one air pollution control unit. So this is the inlet for flue gas. So here you can see this is the inlet for flue gas. The flue gas is first entered into a fabric filter or electrostatic precipitator. So fabric filter is called as bag filter. That means the dirty gas stream or the flue gas stream is going through a bag filter. So those filters are made from a fabric or a cloth, using a cloth. So the dirty gas stream will going through a bag, cloth bag. Then what happened? The particles, the particles, suspended particles, there may be unburned fuel particle, unburned carbon particles will be remain in the bag, and the particles pre-gas will be going out from the fabric filter. Or the if we use electrostatic precipitator also, we can precipitate the particles, suspended particles. There may be unburned fuel particle. Then so from the fabric filter or electrostatic precipitator, we can get the particles pre flue gas stream. So then there will be other gases like SOxes and NOxes. Then those will be entered into the spray tower absorber or wet scrubber. Okay, so the similar name for the wet scrubbers are absorber and spray tower. So when you refer the when you before you refer the absorber, look at the bottom of the fabric filter or the electrostatic precipitator. So here you can see at the bottom of fabric filter, the particles will be accumulated. Okay, the particles will be collected at the bottom of the fabric filter or the electrostatic precipitator. Usually they will not be collected at the bottom. They will be uh, attached to the walls of the fabric filter or electrostatic precipitator. Then by having some shaking mechanism or any other method, we can collect the particles at the bottom of the vessels. Then those particles can be sent for other purposes. So usually those are called as fly ash. Okay, so usually during a combustion process, ash is emitted. Ash means unburned fuel particle, unburned fuel particle. So this is fly ash can be collected. Then when you refer the spray tower or absorber, what happened? Here, usually at the bottom of the absorber column or the wet scrubber, we uh, feed the flue gas stream, particle free flue gas stream. So the flue gas will going up. The flue gas stream will going up. Then what happened? The scrubber liquid, calcium based sorbent spray will enter at the top of the vessel and it will go in down. So there will be a scrubber liquid distribution system to spray it uniformly within the absorber column, and there may be trays or packing columns, the packing inside the absorber column. So now what happened? The flue gas is going up, the scrubber liquid will going down, then they will contact with each other. Then the water soluble gases will be dissolved in the calcium base liquid. Especially SOxes are dissolved. Then at the top of the absorber, we can get clean gas. We can get especially SOxes free gas. If there are carbon dioxide will be slightly dissolved in the water, so we can remove some percentage of carbon dioxide also. Then here now we can get clean gas out. Now then we can send this gas, we can release this gas to the atmosphere by sending through a tall chimney or tall stack. So now look at the uh, bottom of the wet scrubber. So here now that calcium sulfate are formed, then this solution can be sent to a thickener like a sedimentation tank, sedimentation tank. So then at the bottom of the thickener or the sedimentation tank, we can concentrate the calcium sulfate solution. Then we can drain them out. Then it has to be going through a filter. Then we can uh, get calcium sulfate or gypsum. Then there are two byproducts, fly ash and the gypsum. Then if we put lime again, we can make some products from these things. So if we want, we can send them for landfilling. If we have no other method to dispose these things, we can send these things to landfilling. Otherwise we can uh, use them for any other purposes. Then as a preventive measure, we can use other sources of electricity under the energy theme. We can use nuclear power, but the technology is not available in our country, and nuclear power is associated with high risk and high risk. And hydroelectricity, wind energy, geothermal energy and solar energy can be used. So when we talk about hydroelectricity, so there should be a water source also. It depends on the geography and other things, rainfall and many other things. So likewise we can go for renewable energy sources. So then the cost, we have to think about the cost. The coal is very cheap energy source than the other energy available. Then as a controlling method, again we can do the liming process. That means the powdered limestone, no lime water, can be added to the water or the reservoirs or soil to the neutralize the acid came from the acid deposition. So this method is extensively used in Norway and Sweden, but this is expensive and it is a short-term remedy. This is a controlling option, not a preventive method. So this is the end of this presentations.